Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
All right, first thing is are you full Filipino?
No, my mom's Filipino.
Okay, so half Filipino. Not many Filipinos in the UFC right now. Are there any?
I think there's some who's part or whatever. I might be the only one who's born in the Philippines.
Hmm.
But yeah.
What do you remember from the Philippines?
What do I remember? So I grew up in a slum in the Philippines. It was like a dirt road. There was like stilt huts. I lived in the last house on that dirt road, and there was like animals, and it was just a little rougher for me. Also, I got picked on a lot, so and my dad wasn't the best, so it was a lot of bad memories. A lot of some good ones also, but it was a rough life for me when I was down there
Oh, what age did you end up going to the States?
when I was like 6.
Now, let's talk about the first couple of fights, man, that you've had under the banner. I consider, you know, all the fights under the banner contender series as well. It's UFC, right? Like that's part of it.
It's the same thing, yeah. Pretty much, you're fighting in the same place. It's contenders from the UFC, so it's pretty much a UFC fight.
Yeah, and sometimes your opponent, even if they lose, they end up in the UFC anyways.
Yeah, depending on how the fight goes, and even if you win, you also could get not be let in. So
True, true. So from the contender series fight, that experience to debuting and going through all of that, right? Like multiple opponents pulling out, and then finally getting in there and finishing Fernie Garcia. How was that whole ride, man?
you know what? With this MMA journey, I knew that you gotta be expect unexpected. I know a lot of times people pull out, so I knew that might happen, and so when it did happen, I wasn't too surprised. When it happened again, I was a little surprised, and it's just a little game planning and change up, but it didn't rock me at all. I stayed the course mentally and physically, and I wasn't about to work, train so much and not fight. So I'm glad someone answered that call. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, training all that and then not fighting. I think that happens so much on the regional scene now. It seems like it's happening more.
Yeah, with this in this sport, injuries is it's a thin line between training really hard and getting injured. A lot of people haven't found that right formula yet, and especially when they're going to gyms where they don't have the best camaraderie and stuff like that, where your training partners are not taking care of your health and you're always just getting banged up. I see a lot of guys from other gyms are just like they get there and they're just not the same person after. I've had friends go to certain gyms and it's actually like stunted their career, and they I think had too much wars in the gym, and also like getting injured a lot because you're training with people who really don't care about your health and stuff like that. So I'm just glad with my team that although I do cross train other gyms and I fight other guys for the competition, a lot of my trainings with partners who are not only going to push me but also keep me safe.
After the Fernie Garcia fight, how were you physically?
I took like a week off, and then I was like, okay, I think I normally just take a week off, but then I was like, you know what? That was a really long training camp, and that fight, and I had to get ready for all these different styles. I was like, so I gave myself a couple weeks, and then even then, I was like slow to get back because I just needed my body to recover. My body was just kind of shot after all that, so. But I'm glad to get that fight, and I actually asked for a fight the day after the Fernie Garcia fight, and I was gonna fight again, but and actually said yes to fighting another guy. I believe a month later, it was Nate the Train. I said yes to fighting Nate the Train Lander, which would have been a really cool fight, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Nate the Trade, that's a fight that everybody wants.
Yeah, that'd be me and him would be very exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You come to fight, he comes to fight. When you guys both have that type of style, yeah, it's fireworks. Um,
For sure.
your upcoming fight, July 20th. It's some Asian on Asian violence. You know what I mean? have you fought any have you fought any Asians before? Like have you had
I
Asian
have
opponents?
never fought an Asian person ever. I've been in so many street fights, like literally a lot. I fought every race, every weight class except for an Asian dude. I've never fought an Asian dude. I think an Asian dude punched me in the face once when I was being jumped. I didn't get a chance to hit him, so I wouldn't count that as a fight. I just got punched in the face by an Asian dude. But yeah, I never have. So yeah, I'm it doesn't really matter who you know, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to it. I look forward because he's also an exciting fighter and likes to bring it, and he's a real warrior. So that's what I really appreciate about that guy, and he's respectful. So I'm ready to. We're ready to put on a show.
Yeah, I'm surprised you've never fought any Asians, especially living in the Bay Area. You know, I mean, it's filled with Asians.
There's a lot of Asians here, but like. Yeah, Asian people don't really fight like that, and usually if you maybe another Filipino guy, when Filipinos know you're another Filipino, they're like, oh, it's a big fan club, it's you're part of the club. So yeah, and also the majority of the places I grew up didn't have much Asian people. I grew up a little bit in Vallejo, but it was more like an all black neighborhood. I grew up in Marin, which is mainly all white and like maybe Latin people, and then in Oakland, and then and a little bit of Richmond, but none of them really had like I was always like the only Asian person around. So, but no one really thought I was Asian. Everyone thinks I'm Latin or some other race or Hawaiian or something. So.
All right, all right. Yeah, you now Jeong Yeong Lee, man, like yourself, there's a lot of tape you could watch on him. You know what I mean? Because he's been fighting for considered bigger promotions in Asia, and he was the champion in one of them. What do you think of his evolution? Because he was originally a jujitsu guy.
Yeah, I think he found out he had power in hands, and he found out that knocking people out feels a lot better and it's better for your fans. And yeah, I think he's good. I just think he's fought only in Korea, and I think regardless of where you are, you fight only the same kind of people. It's different here in the Bay Area. You feel like I have to fight guys from every country, every culture, every style. You know what I'm saying? Big old dudes, and I feel like I fought the harder guys, quite honestly. Like just from that alone. I think he fought like Blake Builder and that. He's fought all Korean people. And I fought like all kinds of people. I fought 3 times, Bellator, LFA, and UFC. So I've only had one regional fight, and that was against a college wrestler. Other than that, I've only fought hard guys, and so that's why I feel like I don't know how I'm the underdog, but I love it. I feel like it's motivational. So
With him and his fight against Builder, man, what did you think of that?
I was like, he has good grappling because Jake Blake Builder is a really good grappler. I wouldn't say he's a very strong wrestler. So he showed that he had good wrestling, grappling, anti jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But other than that, I wasn't. I thought it was a good fight. I think he's a solid opponent. I just think honestly, I think if I fought Blake Builder, I could put Blake Builder out. I feel like he's slow. You know, um, and I'm good against guys like that. So I think he's gonna be probably my toughest opponent. I don't know because it's styles make fights, and I fought some tough guys. I just think I've been tested a little bit more than he has, and I've gone through fights, coming into fights with bad injuries, and I think people they don't know the background of me in my other fights and why I, like fought how I did, and like my contender fight, I did that with food poisoning. I had a broken rib in another fight. Like a broken foot in another fight, and so people, like they don't know that because I didn't say that or whatever in those fights. But then when you have me healthy, oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. So, and I'm feeling healthy right now, so can't wait to put on the show next week.
With Lee, man, when you watch some of his fights, his recent fights, he has fell in love with the striking and he's looking to knock your head off. But it also seems like he makes a lot of mistakes too. You know, what I mean, leaves a lot of openings because he maybe swings too hard. Do you see that in him?
I think he does. I think for him to generate KO power, he has to swing like that. Me, I don't need to swing like that. I always just I spar a lot of really high level boxers and Muay Thai champ strikers and all that. You can't get away with a high level boxer swinging like that. Here in the Bay Area, especially in California, you got a lot of seriously good talent here. I mean, you got guys from King's Gym, Andre Ward. You got guys like that coming out from here. I spar with Nate and those guys. Guys will take you 12 rounds nonstop. You know what I'm saying? Guys who just run triathlons. You got guys who've been boxing. I spar guys who are 5-time national, like 10-time national champions. So at bare knuckle champions, really, really highly decorated, really great strikers like that. You learn how to, polish your shots. Let's put it that way. And I think he knows. I believe if he's smart, he's gonna come in this fight a little cleaner than how he has his last fights because he can get away with that with those guys. With those MMA guys, they're like grappler turned fighters, these strikers. I've been fighting my whole life on the street and everything, high level striking skills. Like I train with a lot of top guys, and I can hang with Muay Thai champions and boxing champions. So uh, if he's smart, he's gonna come at me a little bit more finessey than try to swing his head off because that's not gonna work out too well for him.
What's the tight knit group for you that's helping you prepare for Lee?
I mainly train at El Nino Training Center in Gilbert Melendez, and then CSA Combat Sports Academy out in Dublin. I also have my own gym in San Rafael, California, called Hurricane Athletics. And I have guys over here to help me out. I do most of my training at the bigger gyms, and then because I do 2 a days and do my conditioning and bag work over here because it's right next to my house. So whenever I can train, this way I can train more and rest more. But yeah, I have all kinds of guys I've been training with, guys who emulate his style, who are bigger than him and stuff like that. Or just as big as, or I should say, his same frame, and do a lot of the things he does well. And so, yeah, I have a multitude of training partners, and people who are trained from other gyms, and boxers from around the Bay Area and kickboxers from around the Bay Area from different gyms. So a lot of people are helping me get ready for this fight.
Would you consider yourself one of the next generation of the Scrap Pack, like the next wave of the Scrap Pack?
I am. I'm definitely leading that right now. I'm like the only one from the Scrap Pack in the UFC. And yeah, I'm trying to make waves, and right now, also really the only fighter from the Bay Area to do that. And I think there's some people who are part Filipino, but I think they don't rep the Philippines, or I'm born there, and for my family's sake, I always rep the Philippines in the Bay Area because the Philippines is like the mother that raised me. Bay Area, I mean, the Philippines is like the mother that birthed me, and the Bay Area is like the mother who raised me. So, and that's why I always rep my family, the Philippines, because of my family, and I always rep the Bay Area for all my friends and family who are here, and all my connections and people I have here in the Bay Area. Because I also grew up in different neighborhoods in the Bay Area, so yeah, man. If it wasn't for those people, I wouldn't be here now.
Man, what's your expectations, man? I think this is gonna be a wild fight, man, from the start.
I think it'd be a sick fight. Honestly, I'm down. Like I feel like I'm always like sparring and doing things like this. So for me, it's like, and all my fights are kind of like that. So I'm ready for whatever, dude. I'm like a soldier, bro. I I have a job to do, and I execute however I gotta do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get the job done. I love it in there. It's exciting. It's fun for me. Things are too boring in normal life, So I really look forward to fighting him. And he has the element of danger with him, which makes it even more exciting. So I can't wait for that fight.
People look at your record. You're undefeated as a professional. Like, what fight can they go back and look at and see? Like, hey, this guy, he went through some adversity. It's just not 9-0, and he's just like completely wrecking dudes. He's experienced like adversity as well.
Watch my fight versus Chase Gibson. On LFA. It was we were the main event for LFA, I believe 137. It was the Bay Area versus LA. It was almost pretty much King of California fight. And and so we were the two top prospects in LFA at the time. And during the fight, he took me down, and when I turned over, my rib broke. And so I had my rib broken. He was on my back choking me, and that's why I couldn't get him off me. and I was kind of like stunned there because my rib was broken. But if people knew that, they would know, like, man, I got heart, and I'm a very hard person to finish or put away. And in the Chase Gibson fight, I come in, I came in. He's a lot bigger than me, and there's a lot on the line with that fight because whoever won was going to go to the UFC. And so between the first and second round, you could see me in the corner, like wincing, and because I was in so much pain because my rib was broken. Not only was my rib broken, he had a body triangle around me, squeezing my body and choking me out, which made it even more painful, you know. And so I got out, and then I'm not gonna lie, I asked the gods, like between that round, I asked myself, I was like, see if the gods are on your side, knock them out right here, right now. And it came out 10 seconds later, I knocked them out, you know? And so I felt like that was one of my like that really put me on display, especially with my skills and what kind of heart I have.
What was the pain like, even with the adrenaline going?
It was it was so bad. I'm not gonna lie. I thought about, I think that's it, dude. I think call the doctor or something because I'm like, this rib might puncture my lung or whatever. And I was just like, my coach is like, Hyder, like, move your feet, gave me some advice. Do you want to continue? I'm like, I'm gonna do it, dude. And let's fucking do this. Like it was a very hard decision. Don't get me wrong. I was in so much pain. I think if my rib broke and we were still dancing, I've been fine. But because he had that body triangle squeezing me, it made it a lot worse. And so making that fateful decision and just leaving it up to the gods to see what happened, it made me feel like, hey, man, like the gods are on my side, and I feel like it's meant to be.
July 20th, UFC Fight Night, the Apex, another opportunity to make an incredible performance. Hyder, thank you so much, man, for the time. And yeah, rep the Philippines, man. I love it. I love seeing all of that.
Thank you, John. Sorry what I have to do to your country, man, but yeah, hopefully you can still watch for the fight, okay?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, man. No
All
worries, man.
right,
No
brother.
worries.